one views pornography, there are a whole cocktail of pleasurable chemicals released in the limbic regions of the brain, such as dopamine, norepinephrine, oxytocin, and serotonin bind the brain to seek certain behaviors that will produce a euphoric feeling state. Please understand that this is how it works. If a fleeting thought enters a person's mind, and all relapses follow this certain pattern. There's a fleeting thought, mental attention, making plans, acting out, and guilt and remorse that follows. Part of what we teach in recovery is teaching people the concepts of acceptance and surrender. We are not accountable for the thoughts that pop into our minds. That is a very frustrating concept for many who struggle with this addiction. They feel that they are bad because they have a thought pop into their mind. The portion of the brain where these thoughts come from is not under the direct control of the will. This is how the chemical reaction happens. A person has a fleeting thought of a sexual image, or they see something online or on TV. If they give that thought enough attention, dopamine is released in the brain, originating from the limbic system. If the thought is held for just a few microseconds too long, norepinephrine is released in the brain. Norepinephrine is associated with memories, and so it hooks to the memories of something that created pleasure, and then it just creates this drive and craving to follow through with the activity. And then if a person actually reaches the point of acting out, oxytocin is released. Now, oxytocin is what's known as the binding chemical. When a mother has a baby and they're holding the child in their arms, this is the chemical that's released to bind the mother and the child together. In males, there's a very similar chemical. And then after the acting out happens, and serotonin, which is our basic natural Prozac that we all naturally have in our brain, comes on, and we just have this kind of down, relaxing feeling afterwards. It's just to understand that, especially when this process is repeated over and over and oxytocin is released, people actually become bound to the computer, bound to the images online, that it becomes a part of their life. And what the limbic system does, the primitive part of the brain, it's a survival thing. It's just the greatest illusion that we function with in our culture right now, that pornography isn't addictive. The problem is that it's hitting our growing generation in a way that we just don't know what the outcome is going to be down the road, and so we really have to get some information out there and put some things in place to help people become more educated, that it's not just a simple little thing that your 10, 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old comes across pornography. It needs to be talked about, it needs to be processed, and not left inside the individual themselves, because that's where problems and the addiction can begin to take off. So scientific evidence now strongly supports an organic basis for all addiction. Neuroscience has shown that all addictions, both drug and natural, are caused by a deficit of dopamine in the reward system. This deficit produces a very powerful craving which underlies all addiction.